What's going on, everybody? Doc, Average Gamer Guys, back at again. More Escape from Tarkov news today. We're going to cover the TarkovTV podcast stream that the Nikita and the BSG team did yesterday, and just go over the highlights. So quick down and dirty. I'm going to do this one as quick as I can. I'm going to have some reference clips to that podcast, to that stream in it, so you have some reference to that. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description to that VOD down below. If I forget to, just go to Battlestate Games Twitch. And the most recent VOD, if you want to check it out, is about an hour and a half long. In addition to that, if we have some time, I do want to keep this one pretty short. We do have some time. I'm going to talk about some of my 12.11 impressions. I'll probably filter that in as we go as well. So let's jump into it. So Nikita basically took the time. They didn't intend to do any spoilers or anything since 12.11 was really fresh. We did get some new info that I think is going to be interesting. We'll cover that here as we go through. But the first big question was, why level 20 for the flea market? I think this was pretty well generally accepted with the community. I think a lot of people were on the same page, but Nikita basically very straight out came and said the intent was to extend the early wipe and that kind of lower level gameplay for longer. So they didn't want players, they had said in previous wipes, players, a couple of days were rushing to level 40. And basically having all of the access to the meta gear. They said they wanted to quote-unquote bring it back to the OG gameplay prior to the flea market and extend that period of early wipe. The other reason was the level 20 makes it so that not everybody's getting access to the flea market at the same time. So there's kind of a layered, staggered progression for players based on, obviously how much you play and how successful you are in the game. And they wanted that variance, and they thought that would be, helpful. And Nikita came and said they've really liked what they've seen so far. I like it too. To give some of my impressions up front, I like it too. I think it's interesting, and I think, it has definitely shifted the way people play the game, at least for that first 20 levels or so. Depending on what your goals are, what you focus on, you kind of stash different things in your container, and they came out and also said that it wasn't intended to hurt newer players or make it more difficult, but that is how the game used to be, and that's really kind of more to the core vision of the game, which I can appreciate. That's Escape from Tarkov, and they want to make it how they want to make it. So
the first question, of course, is about the limitation of flea market, and people are really curious about it, and they keep asking the question. Is like, why? What's the reason behind this? Okay, so I will tell you about what's the reason. The reason behind the flea market limitations is to prolong early wipe gameplay. This is it. One and only thing, just to prolong it, because I'm loving the early wipe gameplay. And it's always, for myself, it's that type of gameplay that I always wanted to be in EFT. And just for the prolongation of this period, a little more, I really like how's it going right now, and this is it. So the struggle, behind all of this, is intended. So it's nothing like, oh, you are punishing us or something. It's just to prolong the OG gameplay, the original EFT gameplay that I always wanted to be in. And this is it.
There are a couple of follow-up questions. They said more potential adjustments were coming. They talked about having either tiers to that flea market or even to a certain extent integrating it into the hideout. At one point, Nikita said they had planned to have it be like a station or a computer linked to the Intel Center, very much like the Bitcoin farm. I would actually be in favor of that as well, maybe as kind of a mid-ground. And as you level your hideout up, you get the opportunity to, maybe, build that station. And then the first level of it gives you access to barter items. Next level after that gives you access to maybe ammo or weapon mods or armor, whatever the case may be. I think would be a neat way to do it. Subcategorizing the items that you can see on the flea market would be pretty cool. So that was the biggest one. And that was the one they covered up front and a couple of times throughout the podcast. So there'll be some clips of that, which I think is good. They talked about VoIP. They're hopeful for 12.12 VoIP to be in the game. Hopeful. So only time will tell. We have some time before that comes. Other than that, they said 12.12. They're still working on what exactly is going to be in it. So more to follow on that. But VoIP, hopeful for 12.12.
We don't have VoIP, and it's planned. Don't like ask about it. It's planned. I hope in 12.12 we'll finally be there, and you will have this wonderful, marvelous technology.
Flea market interface. They did say that they want to allow players to use this, and this was mentioned a couple of times throughout the podcast and the stream, that they wanted players to be able to use the flea market interface, but just basically for traders only, as well as to search for like weapon mods and things to be able to use as kind of a ease of use. A lot of people, I think, got used to, very much like I did. You go click on a weapon, you do a link search, and now you can't do that until you have access to the flea market. They basically want to give you that overlay, that usability, that searchability, without obviously being able to see the other players' listings or list items. So that is coming. I think that would be another, again, kind of user enhancement that they could do, which I think would be, is probably part of the conversation about flea market being past level 20 or at level 20. That kind of sucks a little bit as you lose the ability to do that. So they're looking at basically integrating that and doing it for traders only. I think that would ease a lot of the burden, and people would be happy with that. I know I certainly would.
We wanted to add the thing, like the ability to use flea market interface earlier than the 20th level, just to have an ability to use it with the weapon builds and linked search thing. So it will help you give you an ability to use the flea market interface. It will be like the flea market interface, just without any player's offers and an ability to place offer.
Hideout partial completion, being able to basically take items as you acquire them, instead of them all sitting in your stash, for you to be able to have to turn in all the items at the same time. They want to make it so that you can turn those items in partially, so they're not taking up a huge amount of stash space. That's the same reason they also went on to say that they added the Lucky Scav junk box. The therapist at level 1, I think it's a little over 1.1 million rubles, was because they didn't want that to be burdensome for players with standard accounts, or like me, I hold so many barter items that because I'm anticipating those upgrades. So I think that would be a huge quality of life improvement, very much like you can do with the traders. As soon as you get an item for the traders for one of the quests, let's say you're Salewa, you find one in raid, you can turn it in right away. It doesn't have to sit in your inventory until you have all 3. They're going to do the same thing for the hideout, which would be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that.
Are you ever planning on making it so the hideout allows us to put the needed materials in one at a time instead of having to find all of the parts first? Yes. Yes, it's planned. It will have the exact interface with an ability to partially send items, turn in items, partial turning in of items, not to stockpile it and wait in the stash.
Unity 2019, they said it's on its way. They're going to do the EFT test servers for that. They're hoping to obviously integrate it as soon as they can. They said don't expect huge quality improvements with that, but it is going to make better visuals, hopefully better sound. They have a lot planned with that, but it's also going to be really big for the development team and for them. Hopefully that helps with future patches, future maps, all that. The development cycle, they said it's going to be big for. So that was a big highlight. Scav Karma, they talked a lot about this, a couple of clips, but the big thing is basically Nikita said it's having the intended effect. They're seeing a lot more cooperation. They're seeing scavs work together. Even on the stream itself, there's one point where they showed some of that. It's having the intended effect. This is iteration 1, so there's more planned. They want to do different things. At one point, they talked about having, maybe potentially having Fence be able to access the items in labs that aren't insured. He liked that idea, and giving Fence obviously multiple levels of rep. And they want to integrate that more so into just being more than just fun gameplay, having some purpose behind it. So I think look forward to more of that, but this first iteration is having the intended effects. There were some bugs that obviously they had to fix, which I think they've worked on, and he said that they were fixing and working on fixing the others. So Scav Karma working as intended, which is good.
The suggestion is about add additional loyalty level, like assortment level for offense, with an ability, like with the assortment of goods, of items you lost on the labs location. As you know, we don't have insurance on labs, but somebody's proposing to add additional loyalty level just for these items. And this is really good idea actually, because he proposes to link to a Scav Karma, and it's a pretty good idea actually.
Matching times. They spoke about this. There's a lot of players, over 250,000 concurrent players. So they said they need more servers, which we know. We can fault them for that. We can get upset about it, but it is what it is. Anybody that maybe isn't the biggest fan of wipes, I do want to say this happens every time wipe happens, and it brings a lot of players back. People want to check out what's going on with this longer game progression. Now I think hopefully you're going to see that continue, and that player base count stay high. You can argue that's good or bad as long as you can still play the game. In the long run, it's great for the game, right? And especially with the influx of people coming back, you can't argue with that when everything feels fresh, feels fun. So obviously, it is what it is. Long matching times suck. They have to work on that on their end. They're sorry about it, but it is what it is. But it is good, in my opinion, that we get that influx of players back. So
guys, you're all wondering why you're having such a long matching time right now, because literally so many of you play in the patch right now. We are broke 250,000 concurrent users lately, and this is like really big numbers for us. And I'm sorry, because we need more servers. We need more game servers.
Special. So they talked a little bit about Lighthouse, a little bit about DLC, and town and suburbs, and what's going to come. Specifically with Lighthouse, they're planning a in-map trader, like a physical in-map trader. They said it's going to be very, very hard to get to. Sniper, guards, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff to access that trader in the map. I think it's really cool. That's a really neat idea. So we're going to see how that works, but Lighthouse, that is intended to come. In addition to that, they talked about town and suburbs. Basically, those are going to be DLC maps. We haven't heard a lot about them, but they're already planned to be in DLC. They said basically Streets and Lighthouse are going to be the last maps that we'll see from Tarkov, and Streets has like 2 locations. They talked a little bit about it. But that's their intention, is that special trader in-map with Lighthouse, and then town and suburbs is going to be DLC. So they highlighted that.
Question regarding the near future. Do you plan to add more traders with Lighthouse? There will be a special trader on the Lighthouse. It will be physically based over there. So it will be a character sitting on the Lighthouse. He will be a trader, and it will be a really hard to get to him. So it will be locked not behind some kind of level or restrictions. He will be locked by his own private guard, the sniper. And you will need to do a lot of things to gain access to this trader. This is it. Nothing more to add. Suburbs and town are 2 maps that are not talked about, and such we don't know much about them. Are there plans to work on them after Lighthouse? Suburbs and town will be in DLCs.
And then really lastly is that Boston Stims, the events that we saw pre-wipe, was really good testing for them. The question was specifically related to, are we going to see more stims with like really positive upsides, but the potential to be lethal? Nikita basically said yes, that they got a lot of data from that. They liked the Russian roulette part of it, which is ironically enough what we titled our video when we tested out that update to the stim. And he said it was just really good testing. Same thing with the lore events and putting the bosses on reserve and all that stuff. He said it was really good. They got a lot of data for that, so they have some new stims planned, or some updates to stims planned, and they like that kind of mix of really good, benefits with also having a really high downside. So I'm sure we'll see some different iterations of that, but I look forward to it. He kind of teased that there might be a stim that gives you an increased prison wallet size, which would be pretty interesting and I think pretty laughable.
Many players enjoyed the Abdul Boss event. Should we expect more extreme camps or teams with little effects? Something that would give huge buffs for the short time, but later would result in severe debuffs. Of course, actually, all these events, the idea of these events were for the testing sake. So we got all of the information, and we perfectly seen that. To have the lethal sims with the good buffs is a really good thing. I even saw the vids on the YouTube. It's like Russian roulette, but with the Abdul Boss. People gathered in a circle and starting to pump it in the Steam, and who dead is he loses the game. So it was kind of funny to see, and most likely, yes, we will add some new teams with the lethal effects, but they will give you some magic properties. I don't know, some magic properties. Increased size of their prison pocket. I don't know.
That's really the highlights as far as what we saw from the podcast. I keep calling it a podcast from BSG's Tarkov TV stream, and I think it was really good for them just to answer some questions, talk about some of the bug fixes, talk about what their vision was and why they wanted to go about doing the changes that they did. I think, impressions are mixed on keeping a lot of the stuff, kind of secret and hidden. I liked it, actually. I think it was interesting. It let people explore. People are still exploring a lot of things, still working out how scav karmas work, how some of the features are working, and I think that's really core to the nature of Escape from Tarkov. Same thing with early game wipe level 20, for the flea market. I think there can definitely be adjustments that I'll say ease the burden a little bit, but fights have been really fun, I'll be honest, at least for me, and frustrating still, but that is Tarkov. I mean, that's kind of what you expect. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to obviously a lot of what we have for this current wipe, as well as for 12.12 Lighthouse. I'm really excited for a new map. I think that'll be some really good content that we'll see as well. And I'm curious about your comments. I'm curious how you like the wipe so far. Have you come back to it? Are you playing? I know it's been a mixed bag. A lot of folks are coming back, getting kind of re-exhilarated into it. Not necessarily excited to do tasks and kind of push for Kappa again, but a lot of people want to come in and experience it and check out again everything that's new. I will give a little sneak peek to season 2. I did find in one of my early raids in season 2 of my hardcore series, I found one of the mutants in a stash, got a chance to use it a little bit. I'm really looking forward to using that gun when I get to level 20. Hopefully it's not too expensive, so I'm excited about it, but I'm having a blast. Hopefully you are, but let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you heard anything from the Tarkov TV that you want to post below that I didn't cover, please throw that down below. I'll give the quick plug as we wrap up, as I gave some impressions throughout. Just do appreciate all the support. If this video was helpful, if you enjoyed it, let me know down in the comments. Throw a like, hit that sub button for us, that bell, that would be great. We would really appreciate the support. In addition, we do stream on Twitch Fridays and Saturdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That link is in the description. We've got a Discord server as well as our Twitter. So trying to keep up to date with the news whenever we're going live, because we do randomly stream throughout the week. So if you're interested in coming hanging out with us, chat with us about 12.11, EFT in general, hardcore, whatever, we can answer some questions. We can help you out if you're new. We'd love to help some folks and really just talk about the game. So if you want to do that, we'd love to see you over on Twitch, and we appreciate a follow over there. So we'll wrap this one up. Been Doc, Average Gamer Guys, as always. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.